take care with your back, because you are talking like this at European level, so we need to put the floor at American level. So in my side, I mean, I'm the program, because just when this event was organized, we have a talk with Nuria, and was nice to also share you, let's say, a previous experience on just putting together the science or the research and also practitioners in Catalonia. And it was very nice, the word of pyrogeography of the morning from Mr. Bowman. I would like to say anthropology, pyroanthropology, because this network was started in 2000. So in 2000, we developed a network of researchers here in Catalonia, was called ALINFO, and it was a very nice experience. There were 2 editions, and here are some of the documents we delivered in that moment. I was just reading the conclusions of our meetings and this kind of proceedings. And it's nice because this book is from 2001, and it's not really very different what is here stated in terms of conclusions that what some of the challenges we have by the moment, but are quite important difference. So I just only want to mention some, for me, strong points of that experience of ALINFO that maybe could serve for thinking in next steps. And I will follow this with some conclusions, also about your contributions, and just to open the discussions to the participants. First of all, that ALINFO was financed. So have funds for promoting network. It's important thing. If not, you can start with a lot of will, but at least you also can generate frustration, because this is not easy to maintain this networking. I think that we could agree that ones that participate in ALINFO that has an holistic approach. In that moment, I was following, and we organized all the presentations in 3 different sections: socio-environmental dimension, fire ecology, etc., fire management. In any case, during today, we see how big is, or which amount of different approaches and needs in terms of research, in terms of operational need, results, etc. So one important thing, and one of the achievements of the development, is to make some kind of a structure. So this research done in terms of wildfires, but also the need from the operational practitioners, etc., should be structured in some way. Well, probably this is because it was in 2001. I remember that during the ALINFO, we discovered really poor duplicities. So it was a very nice experience in knowing each other. So at least there are 9 institutions in that moment taking part of the network. So I think that was all the institutions working in fire in that moment. And it was very nice because that 9 institutions were working, each one in each specific field of expertise. And this network served for starting amazing collaborations, of course, among some of us that are still live, these collaborations. But it's obvious that these are things that are changing. So the research community in 2001 is totally different of the research community, even in Catalonia in 2018. And there is a threat, could be said, of the risk of, let's say, duplicities. So it's also, networking can help to avoid duplicities, or just to connect, collect, exchange, etc. Well, and of course, ALINFO also serves to know each other, but in a physical way. So it's not only online. And finally, we are humans, and things happen when we can share a dinner or some beers or some lunch. So just moving to the kind of conclusions, and for opening the discussion, if you have some minutes. I would like to remember words that Mark said on the morning about when we talk about the community of the academia, or the researchers, the operational practitioners, also the policymakers. And he said maybe we could try to move from 3 parts to 2 parts and move together operational goal with the research of the academia. I think that this is one of the potential objectives of promoting network, just putting together these walls, as you also mentioned, Sebastian, in your picture. But but it's different to promote, let's say, a database of people working on in a structured way, or if the aim is to promote networking. So, to put the information together, so who is doing what? If I'm interested in communication, I know now that there is a team in Tarragona working on communication. The other thing is if your aim is to promote networking. This needs an added ingredients, let's say. And as if you can see in the Net Risk Work project with the Forest Risk Facility that has some similarities on that, you know that they mention some important ingredients as a common goal or a common challenge, trust, and mutual respect in between members. There was mentioned, I want to say this, it was mentioned that there are some, let's say, limitations in funds. And of course, we can collaborate, but we also can be, we are fighting for the same funds. So this kind of collaborations are in sometimes adding value, or should be, but also can be, can be not in your exactly interest. So in any case, it's important to have this on mind. On the other hand, one probability, at least, just could be, of course, and Lessons on Fire could be a very good platform to start organizing the, let's say, the universe or the population of researchers that we have. Try to organize this in a thematic way. And another just open question is, and I think that in that sense, some experience from Australia and also from USA, is that trying to define some kind of a common research agenda in terms of wildfire risk. But this is an open question. So I mean that do you think is there the possibility of opening this process of try to define a common, a research agenda in terms of the most important needs of research of wildfire? And in case of we do that, we should, for instance, limit at Catalan level or Mediterranean level. We have important institutions here that can play a specific role, of course, Pau Costa Foundation, but also European Forest Institute, Mediterranean facility. Because if at the end, it's obvious that we need to involve policymakers and so on, blah, blah, blah. But maybe we should need some kind of a common card of presentation. Or maybe this could help also to compensate some isolations that sometimes we see. And also the lack of continuity. So sometimes the projects arrive at one point and no one is following, another one is starting again, okay? But this is just open questions. I think that there is, yes, and about the comment about money, if there is money, no, there is no money. So it's again the same. I think that money is there, but maybe it's really in a diverse sources. So it's very difficult to catch it in a coordinated way. Maybe fire service has money for research, can decide more easy where to invest the money for research. But researchers working on fire have to look for projects in Europe that maybe there the priorities are not the same that the fire service. So how to link this is not always easy. And also generate frustrations because we are participating in European projects, trying to make the bridge between my needs, but the product should be enough sexy for Brussels, And finally, the operational practitioners here said, wow, you are doing very interesting things at European level, but are not useful for me at local, regional level. Well, so on. So I think that every one of us has also dealing with this kind of contradictions. So just open the discussion. Any reply from your side or from the participants? It's really, please, Elsa.
Thanks all of you for presenting all those initiatives. I would just like to share some thoughts that have come out from my mind during this whole long day. The first thing that we might all agree is that the situation in terms of wildfires around is getting worse. So we'd better start thinking wisely and trying to do the most of our research. We are trying to do our best in terms of research, that's for sure. We are all really good workers and try to do our best. But come on, we're not going to win the Nobel Prize to resolve the problem of wildfire behavior. For instance, Marc Castelló was saying this morning that provide us with good models, provide us with some tools that might deliver us the fire propagation in advance. But this is, in my opinion, today, it's just impossible. Because, for instance, we are having very complex physical phenomena in fire dynamics. Like, for instance, turbulence. Turbulence is not resolved. It's an area of research that it's not resolved at all. We have some sort of models that might sort of, tackle the problem, but from that point of view, turbulence has not been resolved and will not be resolved for the next, I don't know, maybe 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, I don't know. I'm not a physicist, but what I believe is that a really, really complex problem. So, but this fact might get us some sort of frustration, but in my opinion, if the operationals help us to help them, we might get some better results. So, for instance, as I said, we don't have the solution of the huge problem, but we might have just like, let's say, particular specific solutions to be used for the local problem, not for the global problem, but yes, but for the local problem. So, as I said, operationals help us to help you in defining actually what are your needs. And for instance, I'll try to do our best with the WeView project to get all those needs, but you also have to make an effort to put on a paper your real needs during your day-to-day work to get us understand actually how we can provide you some solutions. So. As I said, we don't have resources, so we need to optimize our effort. And I really think that we need a permanent platform, a permanent strategy, at least at local level, at Catalan level, to get us more in touch, to promote all those synergies and to go straight to the point in terms of research, because we don't want to waste the few resources that we get. So that's just my thoughts of all the long day that we've been sharing.
I would add some questions about as a reflection of today. In my opinion, I think it's very interesting when researchers are critical with their processes and with their data, and they are honest in this sense, saying which are their limitations. Today we have heard some, I think her name is, one moment please, Oliveras, the woman.
Who's there?
Ima. Yes, she was, I like very much her attitude of being critic with her research with the data, and I think that's a very interesting, a very important attitude, because if knowing our limitations is the way we advance and we go further. Because sometimes researchers, we are very focused on finding founding and saying that our research is very interesting and very useful, but maybe we should be, we are honest, but honesty is very important if we are doing a service for the society, as the firefighters do. And I think the attitude of fire service and practitioners, it's by definition as common will or a common service. And this is the base of a good practice. And I think researchers, we should learn of this attitude, I think, and being much more critics. And maybe when we find our limitations on research or on our knowledge, maybe it is the opportunity of making network and finding these solutions by a network with other researchers, and of course with the practitioners that should make the right questions to be useful, our work. But I think this attitude should help a lot.
Thank you, Pepa. Some more contributions, please, Nuria. And last contributions, if us.
Sí, sí. Of course, as Pau Costa Foundation, we want to hear that and we want to support that. I think towards developing a strategic research agenda, Catalan, Mediterranean, European, international, we are far away from that point. Today, for example, being here and showing there is this interest after ALINFO, probably this was the only time that the community has met. So, okay, there is this interest. There are small initiatives that can help step by step towards getting in this strategic agenda, if that is necessary. And if that is something that from the practitioner community, I'm speaking as Pau Costa Foundation representative of the fire community, if that's a need and a challenge to overcome, we're definitely gonna support that with the collaboration of researchers and industry and all the companies that want to be there, of course.
Okay, I think that it's a direct answer to a proposition, so it's perfect. No, thanks. I think that we should close. It was really long and dense day. I don't know, of course, if there is any final comment someone of you want to, or some specific contribution that someone of you would like to share with the audience. So I think that was, I mean, I don't play the role of closing the session for sure, but in any case, for closing this last session, I would like to say that I really commit, use Lessons on Fire platform to organize at least a database about who is who, what are we doing, etc. Because I think that this is finally very useful. As Pepa said, when you are working in a project dealing with complexity and you discover something that you don't know, it's very useful to try to find, for who is working on risk communication, and I will integrate them more easily on the. So, and this is very easy to, for sure, doing networking needs another step I said before, and of course elaborating a strategic, this also was necessary the commitment of the government, blah, 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 at regional level. But we have a nice tool, Lessons on Fire, and getting them being interesting for the practitioners and for the research community is the best way to keep the Lessons on Fire alive and useful, and etc. So at least it's my proposal for you as a foundation. That's all in the session. Thanks for being with.
All right, just a few words to maybe to wrap up that long day. I guess that what we should do now with Pau Costa and ourselves, and maybe if some of you want to share that activity, that would be also nice. We should try to wrap up all the thoughts and the ideas that have come out from this session. At least we should try to write down that we are a very active community, that we have different type of expertises, and we have to show that potential. So I guess that the first thing that we should do with Nodia is to write a document out down and try to do the most of dissemination of that document. So that would be maybe a starting point for that. And then I think that Lessons on Fire is a very good platform to start with, at least. So I would just like to thank you all for being here at 7 o'clock in this today. We are really, really pleased to have had that response to our call. And I guess that should be just a new beginning coming for another networking activities and some more organized platforms and networking activities. So thank you all for being here.